The following is not suitable for children under the age of 18. This show contains coarse language and sexual themes that may be deemed over the top, as well as my own personal views. Please note all characters of the show are fiction and are not targets of anyone or anything, but are made up for complete satire. Hello my masters and welcome to the Sky Genie Show, Holiday Edition. The regular show is on hiatus. I mean, it's Christmas time, who's listening? Right, so for the few out there who aren't doing anything, this is a present for you. This is a present you cannot take back to the store in exchange for something else, so deal with it, suckers. I mean, listen carefully. I'm just kidding. The regular show will be the first show after Wrestle Kingdom, and that's when the show will be back. So for my holiday edition, this is all about past shows. At least 5 years old, give it a fair shake, because if I do something from maybe 2 years ago, it's not really that old, is it? So I look at old shows and I review them to see how good they do now. Maybe back in the day they had good ratings, but what happens in 2016 when they are watched? Everything in pro wrestling has evolved and expanded. Is the shit you enjoyed still as good as in 2016? Was the shit that you thought that sucked good in 2016? All of those, I guess, are about to be answered, but I guess this is my opinion, but the only way for you to find out is to watch these shows yourself. But I guess this is my view and you're bored and this is something to do. I mean, let's face it. That week between Christmas and New Year's, there's nothing really to do, unless you're with family or elsewhere. Maybe you have to work, and you have the night off or the day off. This is for you. All these shows are random. I don't even know what I'm going to review until I do it. I don't know what I'm reviewing right now. So to give you a layout on what I'm going to review would probably be an out bold lie, because I might want to watch a show but I can't get the footage, or some of the DVD collection I have does not work. Pretty much whatever I can find. But stay listening. After this break, we'll have the very first review. What will it be? Stay tuned. Are you looking for a good laugh? Then check out Getting the Corner. Getting the Corner. Da Corner. Da Corner. With hosts Yuck Nasty and Dogger Baby. Every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. on Mixlr. Check them out on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on Mixlr. For those wondering when the regular show returns, it will be January 4th for Wrestle Kingdom. Until then, I'm enjoying it at the beach. That's right. For the people in the US, it's summer for me. It means I get to chill out, drink on the beach. Oh, I'm rubbing it in. The Sky Genie Show returns January 4th, 2017. For fans of the show, please also check out the Don Tony Kevin Castle show. Don, Tony and Kevin Castle show is a hard-hitting, with brutal honesty type show as they give their views on the world of professional wrestling and WWE. They're also on Stitcher and iTunes. If you want to catch them live, listen to them on Mixlr. And we are back, and for the next review comes from World Class Championship Wrestling, the home of the Von Erichs, who engaged in a legendary rivalry with the Freebirds, run by their father, the legendary Fritz Von Erich. The show I am reviewing is the David Von Erich Memorial. This event was headlined by Ric Flair and Kerry Von Erich for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Originally, this was meant to be a match between David Von Erich and Ric Flair. However, during a trip to Japan earlier in the year, David Von Erich tragically died in Japan. So this card was turned into a memorial for him. Around this time, David Von Erich was apparently rumoured to be winning the NWA World Championship and was being groomed for the title. This was also at the tail end of the Freebird Von Erich rivalry, the original run. But let's get into it, shall we? The first match was Butch Reed versus Chick Donovan. Butch Reed gets the win in a boring opening match. There wasn't much to say, it was just boring. The next match was Kamala versus the Great Kabuki. After a really crap match where they virtually did nothing, Gary Hart and Skandor Akbar interfered on their respective guys' behalf and ended in a no contest. The next match was the Junkyard Dog versus the Missing Link. Minking Link. That's going in the blooper show. This was actually a pretty good match. Neither of these two are known for being great in-ring technicians, but these two put out a pretty good damn well-worked match. The Missing Link got the win after Skandor Akbar held JYD's foot down. But a second referee came out and reversed the decision, so your winner was the Junkyard Dog. We then had the Americans Tag Team Championship, that's what they call their titles, the Super Destroyers versus Iceman King Parsons and Buck Rock'n'Roll Zumhoff. Personal feelings on that guy did aside, for people who don't know, look it up. This was actually a pretty great match. Your winners and new champions were King Parsons and Buck Zumhoff. We then had the world's six-man titles. Yes, World Class had six-man titles because of the Von Erichs and Freebirds. The champions, the Freebirds, took on Mike, Fritz, and Kevin Von Erich. Fritz came out of retirement for this match. It was a great giant brawl. The chemistry that the Freebirds and the Von Erichs had was great, even with the old man. Your winners and new champions, the Von Erichs. And then we came to the main event. For the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, Ric Flair versus Kerry Von Erich, with everything on the line, in the memory of David Von Erich. This was a great match and definitely a classic. Your winner and new World Heavyweight Champion, Kerry Von Erich. Always fuck that up. Overall, the show was great as far as big names. This show was clearly all about the Von Erichs. Ric Flair and the Freebirds definitely added to the show. Kerry would not hold the title for very long, as he would lose it back to Ric Flair. After Kerry apparently missed a few dates, the NWA board decided not to keep him as champion. It was a short-time deal. But then others claim that that was the plan all along, was to keep it short-term, because Ric Flair was about to go into another feud with Dusty Rhodes. But overall, it was a good show, and it's definitely one you should check out. Don't go away, there'll be more after the break. For fans of the Sky Genie show, please also make sure to check out Wrestling Soup. They drop at 9:30 on Thursday. Join hosts Anthony Missionary Thomas and Joey Numbers as they lightheartedly talk about what that's happening in professional wrestling, as well as other current events. While over there, please make sure to check out the Saturday morning shitbox. Have your voice and question heard as Mish and Joey answer questions on their thoughts of professional wrestling or anything else going around in the world. That show drops on Saturday morning-ish. The weeks it doesn't air is because they're doing pay-per-view Sunday. Yes, whenever there's a WWE pay-per-view, Mish and Joey usually review it, sometimes with John Draper. They also have shows on Stitcher and iTunes. If you want to catch the boys live, check them out on Mixlr. And all these good podcasts out there, you wouldn't think they fuck up a lot. Well, think again. I have a show for you. Yes, the Sky Genie. Make sure to check out the Blooper Show. The Blooper Show is made up of clips. Just like then. You can tell I fuck up a lot. So I get all clips that I fuck up on, put them together, and make a show based on being a fuck up. And I call it the Blooper Show. Check it out on my channel. Although the show may not be common, try to pick the good ones and put them in. At least getting a decent show. So check out the Blooper Show today. For interesting discussion and debates on professional wrestling, check out Johnny Florida, Michael Corvin, and Old Man Jenkins on Wrestling's National Committee. They talk a wide range of topics on the world that is pro wrestling. Check them out on Wednesday at 9 p.m. on Mixlr. And we are back, and for the next review is an NWA WCW with New Japan Pro Wrestling show called Starrcade in Tokyo. American audience got Super Show, but Japan got Starrcade. The headline of the show was a title for title match. NWA World Champion Ric Flair defending his championship against the IWGP Champion Tatsumi Fujinami. Because there's a lot of Japanese names on here, don't go off at me if I fuck them up. So let's get started. First up, we had Kengo Kamura, Animal Hamaguchi, Kentaro Hiroshi, and Osamu Kido versus the Blonde Outlaws, Super Strong Machine and Hirohiro Saito. From now on, if I can't pronounce it, I might just go by the last name. It was a boring opener. Wasn't really anything exciting. Your winners were Animal Hamaguchi, Hoshi, Kengo Himura, and Kiddo. And then we went to the next match. Brian Pillman, Tim Horner, and Tom Zenk versus Kobayashi, Koshinaka, and Iizuka. This was a great and interesting match. The Iizuka team getting the win. Fuck you, New Japan. I'm kidding, I like you. We then had Scott Norton versus the Equalizer. This was a really great match. Hard hitting and brutal. Didn't go very long. Your winner was Scott Norton. We then had the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Jushin Thunder Liger versus Ikari Nogami. And this was an awesome match. Liger was definitely in his prime. Nogami put in a good effort here too. Your winner and still champion, Jushin Thunder Liger. We then had Arn Anderson and Barry Windham versus Masahiro Chono and Masa Saito. After an awesomely wrestled match, of course Arn Anderson's a really awesome wrestler, Arn Anderson and Barry Windham got the win. We had an intermission. Antonio Inoki came out to make a promo, and he beat some fuckwits up. I think they were ring crew. We then had the IWGP Tag Team Champions, Ship, Hiroshi Hayes, Kensuke Sasuke, versus the Steiner Brothers. After a really awesome match involving the Steiner Brothers, your winners are new IWGP Champions, the Steiner Brothers. And for the next match, Big Cat Hughes versus Ali Gante. After a god-awful match, LA Gante got the win. Big Cat Hughes is clearly Curtis Hughes, and LA Gante was later to be the Giant Gonzalez. The dude was a legit 8 feet tall. I mean, the size of this man. He stepped onto the ring apron and pretty much the top of his thigh was over the ring, and he just stepped over the ropes with ease. Curtis Hughes, who looked every bit of 300 pounds, looked like a really small guy compared to him. It was insane. We then had Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow versus Doom. The match was good, but not great, although you can tell the big difference between Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow. Vader was a more vicious guy, where Bam Bam looked like he was an easy guy to work with, and gentle. Vader and Bigelow won the match. The next match was Sting versus the Great Muta. After a good match, the Great Muta wins via the miss to the face and gets the win. After the match, Sting hits the Stinger Splash and slaps on the Scorpion Deathlock. The next match was Riki Chosu versus Tiger Jeet Singh. This was a brutal, bloody match. That was a real war in the ring. Totally wasn't something I was expecting, but an absolute bloodbath. Your winner here was Riki Chosu. And then we came to the main event. NWA World Champion Ric Flair versus the IWGP Champion Tatsumi Fujinami. Title for title. This was a great, epic main event. Ric Flair was still on his game here, and this was probably Fujinami's last great match as a main event guy. The winner and new NWA Champion, Tatsumi Fujinami. Overall, it was a good show. I thought the Liger match stole the show, but the Chosu Singh match is definitely something to watch out for if you're looking for a hard-blooded pro wrestling match. And that is Starrcade in Tokyo. We will be back after the break. Wondering when the regular show returns, it will be January 4th for Wrestle Kingdom. Until then, I'm enjoying it at the beach. That's right, for the people in the US, it's summer for me. Means I get to chill out, drink on the beach. Oh, I'm rubbing it in. The Sky Genie Show returns January 4th, 2017. For fans of the Sky Genie Show, please also make sure to check out Wrestling Soup. They drop at 9:30 on Thursday. Join hosts Anthony Missionary Thomas and Joey Numbers as they lightheartedly talk about what that's happening in professional wrestling, as well as other current events. While over there, please make sure to check out the Saturday morning shitbox. Have your voice and question heard as Mish and Joey answer questions on their thoughts of professional wrestling or anything else going around in the world. That show drops on Saturday morning-ish. The weeks it doesn't air is because they're doing pay-per-view Sunday. Yes, whenever there's a WWE pay-per-view, Mish and Joey usually review it, sometimes with John Draper. They also have shows on Stitcher and iTunes. If you want to catch the boys live, check them out on Mixlr. So the original show that started it all, the absolute worst show to ever come on anywhere. The Sky Genie Show, filled with gags, wrestling news, and wrestling reviews. The very first show back will feature the review of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 11, coming in January of 2017. And we are back, and for the next review is the AAA When Worlds Collide. This show was combining with the IWC promotion, but was a WCW pay-per-view. At the time, WCW and AAA had a working relationship, and WCW agreed to stream the pay-per-view under their name. The show was headlined by Perro Aguirre Sr. versus Conan. American audiences were getting their first exposure of Rey Mysterio, and many more stars. So, let's get into it. The opening match was a minis match, and no, I guess they were kind of midgets, but these guys were awesome. Luchadors, Mascarita Sagata, and Octagon Cito versus Expretico Jerito Estrada. Just like any Japan shows I do, if I fuck these names up, I don't care. This was an awesome, fun, entertaining match, with Sagrada and Octagon Saito getting the win. The next match had Rey Mysterio, Heavy Metal, and the Latin Lover versus Faruja Guerrera, Madonna's boyfriend, who is Louis Spicolli, and Psychosis. Rey Mysterio was only 18 here, believe it or not. Guerrera, Spicolli, and Psychosis would get the win after a great match. The next match had the Pegasus Kid, Chris Benoit, Too Cold Scorpio, and Tito Santana versus Jerry Estrada, the Parker, and the Blue Panther. This was a good match. Benoit showed why he was great as a wrestler, and it's really sad, but oh well. Benoit, Scorpio, and Santana would get the win. I must go in before I go any further. The next match will have Octagon. Octagon Cito is the mini version of Octagon. It literally just popped into my mind then. But Octagon and Hill Del Santo versus Art Barr and Eddie Guerrero in a 2 out of 3 falls hair versus mask match. This was a great, awesome match. It was Octagon who suffered a pile driver and was taken out of the arena. So Santo had to do it all alone, but he wins. Art Barr and Guerrero would shave their heads. Well, more so a haircut, but they would later shave it off. We then had the main event for In the Cage, Conan versus Pero Aguirre Sr. It was a great cage match, but a crappy finish. Aguirre gets the win for this match. Overall, it was a great show, but the finish to the main event was pretty disappointing. Following this card, guys in the mini-match would go to the WWE, who had a brief junior division. In 1997, Louis Piccoli, Psychosis, Rey Mysterio, Chris Benoit, Nicole Scorpio, Eddie Guerrero, and Conan would all go to ECW, and later on would go to WCW. Within that next year, Nicole Scorpio would go to the WWE as Flash Funk. Louis Piccoli would pass away in 1998, as Art Barr would sadly pass away 2 weeks after this event. Art Barr is credited for inventing the frog splash. The kind that D'Lo Brown and Rob Van Dam have used is attributed to Art Barr. Eddie Guerrero, although forming his own style, would also adopt the move as his finish. So that was AAA When Worlds Collide. I would like to thank you all for listening to my show. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. If you can donate, please do. Your donations go help towards the show, improve audio quality and everything else about the show. Otherwise, please note that this show will always be free. I would like to thank you for listening and check you out next time.